Hi, welcome to the Grieving with God podcast. I'm going to try something new this year. In season 2, I'm only releasing full-length podcasts episodes twice a month. But in between those episodes, I would really like to start sharing with you why I started this podcast in the first place. What launched me on this path of talking about grief and helping other people as they grieve many different situations. So in 2016, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and she wasn't given much time to live. And so we spent all of our time trying to make her last 6 months to a year as special as possible. And it was a surprise to us when she made it to 2017. In the summer of 2017, I also found out I was pregnant after about 10 years of infertility and trying to get pregnant and not being able to. So we were ecstatic to find out that the baby's due date was also my mother's birthday. And so it seemed to me to be a sign that here I am, I'm losing my mother, but I'm gaining a precious baby that we had prayed for and longed for so many years. In the summer, my mother started to take a turn for the worse. And after undergoing multiple surgeries by Thanksgiving of that year, she was in a lot of pain. We found out in September of 2017 that my son was diagnosed with Trisomy 18 in utero. Not many Trisomy 18 babies are born alive. We were living with the knowledge that at any day now, my son could die. We were also living with the knowledge that at any day now, my mother could die. That really started to launch me into journaling and blogging. I really started to dive into blogging and reading all these books and sharing everything that God was doing with me, because honestly, I had gotten really angry with God. Everything that I was reading and talking to people and pastors and counseling, everything was trite. Everything was just saying, just trust God. Oh, God's got this. God will handle it. It really just didn't sit right with me. I felt like there was no outlet for women who were suffering this kind of loss to really find comfort and peace, or to really even feel like God welcomed them or wanted them to feel all of their emotions. And so I began blogging, and I started to call it Carrying Loss. So I started this blog, Carrying Loss. It just really grew and blossomed out of that. And from that blog, I began writing a book. And I began writing a book about grieving for infertility and grieving this kind of loss where you know that your child is going to die. In this time, my mother passed away a week before Christmas and my son passed away a month later. I continued to write. I continued to work with grief. I began to work with women in our church, and I began to work with our church in creating some kind of resource for women who have experienced a miscarriage. And then it led into this podcast. I am really excited that I have this platform to draw people to the Lord, to talk about grief in a healthy way, to share with them what does it look like to grieve with God, because it doesn't look like being all sunshine and rainbows. Grieving with God does not mean that you pull out a Bible verse from a hat and you say, oh, I'm going to believe this verse and I'm going to just trust God and everything is going to be fine. And some people can do that, but some people cannot, and I could not. I needed to know that it was okay to feel all the feelings I was feeling, to grieve in the way that I was grieving, and that it was okay to come to God sometimes and be mad. I needed to be able to feel like He is still going to be there for me and understand me, because everything I knew and understood about God was that He loved me regardless and unconditionally, that He called me and He called me by name. And not only that, but these things that happened in my life, as hard as it is to understand, they happened and He knew about it. He's not an unkind God, even though these things happened to me. I started to dive into, what does all of this mean? I want to take probably the next 10 short episodes that I'm going to create just myself, sharing my story of Ezekiel, just 5-10 minute episodes, and share the journey I went through. I find that knowing other people have gone through loss is comforting, and even sometimes helpful to find out, well, how did they navigate this certain situation? Carrying a baby they knew was going to die any day now. So that is what you can expect this season on the Grieving with God podcast. I hope that you continue to join us for our full-length episodes. Yes, they're long, but they're great for long car rides. I will ask a favor. If you are watching this and you have a spare moment, please go to your podcast platform and give us a rating. Like us, follow us, leave us a comment. These things really help the Grieving with God podcast rise up in the ranks so that more people can find us. My goal is just so more people who are grieving and hurting can find a safe place where they can feel seen and heard and loved by God. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you share this and like this and tell all your friends.